All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the Jets just wrapped up their training camp practice for the day, and what's interesting is that this is literally one of the last training camp practices of the, I guess, off season, right? If we think about it, Saturday's the Giants game. After that, it's that dead week. And then the week after that is quote unquote game week with the Buffalo Bills as the team's week one matchup, Monday Night Football. So I think right now, even though there's only just a couple of days, really probably one more practice, or I guess training camp practice, the Jets still have multiple weeks here to get ready for the Bills, right? It's essentially 2 weeks of preparation to go up against the, their division rivals here. And ideally, I would like to be further along in the process, right? I mean, right now, we still don't know exactly what's happening on the O-line. Hopefully after the Giants game, we'll have some more clarity about maybe Mekhi Becton, his knee, if Saleh feels like he can go a full game, a full regular season game against a stacked defensive line in the Bills. So hopefully that'll be squared away, and then behind him, we'll have the backup set, right? Max Mitchell, Billy Turner, they won't be, constantly swapping back and forth. They were swapping back and forth today when Becton wasn't playing right tackle. But outside of that, it's really just managing the statuses of everybody, right? The first player that comes to mind, Carl Lawson. What is going on with his back? It was reported 2 weeks ago that he was going to be missing a practice with back tightness, and we haven't seen him for 2 weeks. So hopefully he could get back to, being 100% before he rolls back out on the field. When Saleh initially talked about it, he did kind of make it sound like it was going to be like a 1, 2, 3 day thing, and that was going to be the end of it. But I mean, we're approaching 2 weeks here. It could even be over 2 weeks, because that happened before the joint practices with the Carolina Panthers, or joint practice. So it's been a long time. Another player that comes to mind, Corey Davis, still out dealing with a personal issue. Saleh addressed that in the press conference today and said that, there's no timetable for a return. They don't really know. They don't have one until whatever he's dealing with is dealt with. That's when we'll see Davis back. Now, as far as Dwayne Brown goes, yes, he was at Jets practice, which was awesome. But tomorrow's going to be like his first full training camp practice, full go, hands off, and that should be that should be awesome. That's a major sigh of relief, like amongst Jets fans, because he's still, unfortunately, Max Mitchell or Billy Turner, Mekhi Becton, even nobody was really able to pull away and emerge himself as the starting left tackle. It just kind of seemed cluttered, really just like a camp battle that just stayed as a battle and nobody really got the upper hand throughout the weeks. So Dwayne Brown is going to be the team's starting left tackle. So, and we've talked about this in a couple videos, the sooner we get him back, the better, because of the current situation, and he's back, which is awesome. And in regards to AVT, he was at practice, but the approach was kind of like a load management thing. According to Saleh, both AVT and Lakin will be playing against the Giants. In fact, quick little side note, I was watching the Jets YouTube channel, their live stream, as the training camp practice is kind of going on, at least in the early portion of it. And they did say that they think everybody's going to be playing outside of Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. So Vera Tucker, Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Sauce, like everybody is going to be starting for this Giants game outside of those two players. And when it comes to those two players, right, Cook and Breece Hall, I don't want them playing. I do not want those guys playing. When I look at the running back position, to me, it's not really, it's not one of these positions where it's just like you're going to need a ton of preseason reps. Yeah, there's going to be some rust to shake off for sure, but I think I feel pretty confident in both Cook and Breece Hall in those 2 weeks leading up to the Bills game in practices to kind of get right. So I'm not really sweating that whatsoever. But bouncing back over to the offensive line, supposedly Wes Schweitzer got hurt in yesterday's practice. He limped off and he was not participating today. So when AVT was being held out of team drills, it was Tristan Colon at right guard blocking for Aaron Rodgers with the ones. So it's pretty obvious, now is not the time to be sustaining new injuries, right? Like at the end of training camp, at the end of preseason, but you can never plan for it. Some good news though, back on the offensive line, looking at Joe Tippmann, he's expected to be ready for week one, but as far as like practicing and getting like a ton of reps and stuff like that, bouncing around between guard and center, that's not really going to be going down. He's not going to be out there really, according to Sala, over the next couple of weeks. But he was out there today in pads, moving around a little bit, hanging out. It's not like he's, on crutches on the sidelines, or he's just not even good enough to dress, right? So that is a plus to just have Tippmann out there. And whether the plan is to roll with Tippmann at guard or backup center, or maybe a little bit of both, getting him back on the field sooner is a major plus. Now, when we look at the practice, supposedly Aaron Rodgers looked absolutely fantastic, right? Going up against that first team defense, he had numerous plays where he was able to escape the pocket, make a play down the field. He had a really, really nice connection with Garrett Wilson at one point. And that connection right there, I mean, man, I just can't wait to see what those two guys can accomplish, right? Is it fair to say, I don't want to get ahead of myself, I understand who we're playing, who the Jets are playing against this season. I understand how stacked the AFC is. I know that Aaron Rodgers, it's his first time with the Jets. I don't want to jump the gun here, but is it fair to say that we could see multiple broken records between Aaron Rodgers at quarterback and Garrett Wilson at wide receiver? Is that realistic to think about? I would say the answer is yes, to be honest with you. Like, it would not shock me in the slightest if that actually happens at the end of the season and we're just tallying up the stats. And of course, we can talk about the hype all we want. At the end of the day, they do need to go out there and execute. I do think they will, though. Funny enough, I actually heard a quote the other day, a couple days ago, where it was, people in an orchestra can know how to play instruments. They know the notes, they know the rhythm, but at the end of the day, they still have to go out there and play the music. And I felt like it kind of fit the 2023 Jets, right? There's obviously so much hype. The Jets have so many fans all over the place, where the Jets are being talked about on national sports media every single day. Doesn't matter what channel it is, doesn't matter what radio station you're listening to. It's like it's all about the New York Jets. But at the end of the day, they have to go out. They have to be able to translate the talent, translate the acquisitions into productive, successful, winning football. Man, I'm pumped for the season. But yeah, going back to Rodgers here, according to multiple reporters, pretty much from top to bottom, right? From start to finish, Rodgers was on top of his game, hitting wide open guys down the field, making plays, looking in command, looking calm and comfortable. One name that did stand out, though, is Randall Cobb, right? Randall Cobb, according to Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic, he reported that Randall Cobb in the past couple of days has been getting more opportunities, more reps in camp over McCole Hardman. And, I'm not going to sit here and like panic about it or freak out. Oh, Hardman's not going to work out or anything like that. But I do find it interesting how Cobb, whether it's in Green Bay, whether it's Jets training camp practices, whenever Cobb and Rodgers are on the field at the same time, they tend to make things work. Right, they have a great on and off the field chemistry. Supposedly, like they're like best friends off the field, which is totally cool. And Cobb understands the Hackett system. Cobb understands where Rodgers wants his receivers to be. I saw a really cool quote of Cobb, or a really cool moment where Cobb is in the huddle with the wide receiving, really the wide receiving core as a whole, just kind of talking about like, hey, the drop passes, that stuff cannot happen. If Rodgers does not have trust in you, if he doesn't have trust in your route running abilities, where you're going to be in that given play, he's not going to throw you the football. Like that's just the bottom line. So you have to build that relationship with him. You have to build that chemistry. You have to be a guy as a receiver that Rodgers can trust. And despite his age, despite how long he's been playing, despite the amount of injuries that Cobb has had throughout his career, it's fascinating that Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb have such a great feel for how to attack a defense that in training camp practices right now with the Jets, he's getting opportunities. He's getting the football thrown his way. He's coming down, making plays with the football, despite the Jets wide receiving room being pretty much loaded, in Wilson and Allen Lazard, and granted, Corey Davis is not there. So maybe that changes, but those Randall Cobb and Corey Davis have two different roles within the offense. So it should be interesting. I wonder how much Cobb will play in the preseason. I'm assuming probably the same amount of drives that Aaron Rodgers is out there. So if Rodgers gets 1, Cobb will get 1, 2, 2. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.